Hello lovelies, and welcome back to a new episode of Real Nightmares, where we compare horror media to the true horrors that inspired them. I'm Katie Adkins, and I finally remembered to turn my autofocus off, so hopefully I'm in focus and not just this microphone. This is my second time recording this episode because the first one was completely out of focus to the point to where it was comical. And that's what happens sometimes when you make these on your own with no one to help you. But that's okay, because I have fun doing it. I need to get a handle for this mic. I lost the stand. I don't know what happened to it. I can't find it. And so we're just gonna hold it and hope that works out. So possession is a terrifying thing. And no, I don't mean when your ex says, if I can't have you, no one can, okay? This one's a lot less scarier. We're just talking about demonic possession. There are many ways one can become possessed, like bringing a haunted doll into your home, opening a box with a demon trapped in it, moving into a haunted house, dating a Scorpio. But another very common way people claim to be possessed is by Ouija boards. Now, there are lots of movies about Ouija boards. I'm sure you could go to the $5 movie bin at Walmart and find at least 6 of them. However, the only movie with the word Ouija in the title you'll ever catch me recommending to people is Ouija Origin of Evil, the prequel to Blumhouse's Ouija, which was not a good movie. But Ouija Origin of Evil, that's solid. You should go watch it. Don't like Ouija 1, love Ouija 2, okay? And no, I'm not covering either of those movies today. Neither of them are based on anything real. No. Today, I'm covering 2017's Veronica, a Spanish film about a young girl who tries to contact her father via a Ouija board, and it goes horribly awry. And it's based on a true story, baby. So do I have any Ouija experience? A little. One time at my friend's place, she thought that she had seen a ghost or had some sort of paranormal experience while home alone. So we all decided to come over, and a friend of ours just happened to have an old 1940s Ouija board in his car that he bought at an estate sale, as if this isn't the opening to a horror movie. But it was pretty anticlimactic because 2 people in our group were slyly moving the planchette, claiming they weren't. I won't call them out by name, but you know who you are. And if you 2 are watching this, I know you were moving it. I know it was you. So let's find the fact in the fiction of Veronica. The film opens up claiming that this story is based on the police report filed by the detective in charge of the case, aka based on a true story, but with more words. Veronica follows a 15-year-old girl named, Veronica, Madrid, Spain in 1991. She's the oldest sibling of 4 and is in charge of caring for her 3 younger siblings, Lucia, Irene, and Antonito, as her mom works late nights to fund the family. She borrows a photo of her deceased father for a school project, but really it's to do a seance with her friends at school. Being a teenage sister mother of 4 can't be easy, so it's not hard to imagine why she might be missing some parental guidance in her life. This little scene is so sad to me, as she's looking at the life she should be living as a teenage girl, but this freedom is stripped from her with her responsibilities at home. It's an exciting day at school as it's the solar eclipse. They don't use eclipse glasses like we do now. Apparently, people used to use photo negatives to look at the eclipse to protect their eyes. Now, it's no coincidence that the day of the eclipse is when these girls decided to do their seance. The teacher explains that primitive cultures believed that the sky reflected what happened on Earth, and that during eclipses, dark reigned over light. Many cultures thought that eclipses were a good time for sacrifices, most notable human sacrifices. So as the whole school goes out to view the eclipse, that's when Veronica, Rosa, and Diana skip out to try and contact Veronica's dad using a Ouija board. Their conversation with the board goes, "You want to talk to one of us?" "Yes." "Are you Veronica's dad? Do you want to talk to Veronica?"
V? E? O.
Spy.
Veo. ¿Ves? ¿Qué ves?
Una cosita.
Joder, eres gilipollas.
Gilipollas eras tú, sé perfectamente que...
Then the board starts going crazy as Veronica is the only one touching the glass. She goes into a sort of trance.
¿Quién eres?
It goes crazy again until it lands on the picture of the sun and burns the two girls who aren't Veronica. As the eclipse comes to its climax, the board breaks the glass, causing Veronica's finger to bleed on the board. Diana and Rosa beg for Veronica to snap out of it and stop using the board. The candles go out and they find Veronica on the floor muttering to herself under her breath. I'm sure she's fine. I'm sure she's fine. She wakes up in the nurse's office and is oddly shamed for being 15 and not getting her period yet.
¿Cuántos años tienes, Verónica?
15.
¿Y no tienes la menstruación?
And it's decided she just has an iron deficiency. Nothing crazy like demonic possession or anything. As they leave school, it's noticed that Veronica's BFF Rosa already left. And a blind nun who is nicknamed Sister Death is caught staring at Veronica. They visit their mother at work just to learn they're on their own for dinner again. At home, she examines the broken board and hides it. She hears something fall and there it is. In the middle of the room. She hides it again. Within seconds, it's back. This time she hides it under her bed and gives her stuffed snake a very important task. At dinner, her siblings are continuing to discuss the eclipse and Veronica experiences some sort of paralysis, unable to eat. Irene drops the milk and it stops her weird trance.
¿Qué ha pasado?
She finds bruises in the shape of a handprint on her shoulder as she cleans up. Rosa calls and tells Lucia that she's not coming over to hang out with Veronica anymore.
Ha dicho que no podía venir, que se iba con su madre a unos recados.
¿Pero no te ha dicho que me pusiera?
No.
Veronica calls Rosa to see why she's avoiding her. But Rosa's mom informs her that Rosa ditched Veronica to go hang out with Diana instead. As she's washing little Antonito, she hears a loud bang coming from her room. It's not her sister's, so who is it? Trapped in her room, she hears Antonito screaming for help. His comfortable bathwater transformed into boiling water, burning everything from the waist down.
Nene, siento mucho haberte puesto el agua tan caliente.
No has sido tú.
¿Qué?
No has sido tú.
She stays up late to clean up the kitchen as everyone else sleeps. She hesitantly reaches to touch the glass she just washed, just to see if anything would happen. And right as she touches it, the TV turns on. The same silly commercial sampling Dadu Ron Ron by the Crystals, which was a bop in 1963. I like how I said that as if I was there. I was not there, I promise. I'll drop the skincare routine later. She finds Irene's walkie-talkie on and turns it off. Bruh, this part got me so bad. I don't know if it was PTSD from watching Signs as a kid, but I hate when they serve anthropomorphic beings reflected in TV screens. She goes to sleep that night with the light off, and I think she is so brave for that. Couldn't be me. Hell, I'm 33, and I still sleep with the light on if something got me a little scared. Nightlights are for all ages, okay? She has a flashlight, but that makes it spookier to me. Of course, she wakes up to the sound of something falling. She finds her sisters hiding in her closet, terrified. The closet door slams shut and hell nah. Ain't no way her dead naked father is standing there whispering her name. Veronica. Veronica. Are you kidding me? Horrifying. But it gets worse. And she wakes up, appropriately, on Friday the 13th. How festive! Late, they rush to school because this family truly can't function without the influence of the older sister. At school, Veronica experiences what every teenage girl experiences at least once in their life, being replaced by a new BFF and having no idea why. Searching for answers, she goes back to the scene of the crime. She picks up the abandoned photo of her father, and that's when Sister Death speaks up.
¿Sabes cuando entras en una casa en la que acaban de hacer torrijas? El rastro que dejan es muy claro.
Making me really hungry for French toast.
Casi puedes morderla.
Turns out, Sister Death doesn't need eyes to see certain things.
que habéis hecho aquí es muy peligroso.
And warns her it wasn't her father she was speaking to. And it's going to be Veronica's responsibility to protect her siblings.
No estás sola. Alguien respondió a tu llamada. Y ahora camina contigo. No te muevas.
Sister Death attempts to cleanse Veronica of this entity that clings to her.
Se acabó el recreo, niña.
Rosa continues to be a bitch, avoiding and lying to Veronica, and Diana doesn't exactly help.
¿Tú te vas a venir?
¿A dónde?
Es que, tía, los padres de Rosa se van este fin de semana y vamos a hacer una fiesta en su casa mañana.
¿Por qué no me lo has dicho?
Tía, te lo está diciendo ahora. Además, tampoco creo que puedas, ¿no? Vas a tener que cuidar de tus hermanos.
She gets magazines about the occult, searching for answers, trying to find a way to stop the hauntings and protect her family. She traces the Vejvasir symbol, an Old Norse symbol. It's a cute sentiment, but I do think it's being misused. I don't mean to cut too many history lesson. It is a symbol for guidance and protection, but more so for travelers. Like, this symbol is what Vikings would put on their ships to ensure they make it home safe. It's to keep you from getting lost, not to fight demonic spirits or demons. Anyways, she hangs them around the house. The downstairs neighbor comes up to complain that her lamps won't stop shaking from the kids causing a ruckus late at night, and there's a giant black stain on her ceiling where Veronica's bedroom floor is. Setting out some sheets to dry, she sees another glimpse into the cozy and comfortable life she will never have, and just like her father, the sheets slip away from her. On her way to fetch it, Irene's walkie-talkie speaks to her. It's coming from her sister's room. And just when the coast is clear, Simon says, "Remind me to never get a Simon Says ever." And the entity burns the symbols of protection and chokes her sister. And attempts to save her sister, it unfortunately looks like she's the assailant. The kids pile up and spend the night together in the living room. More whispers call out to Veronica. She uses a wine opener as a makeshift cross for protection. And then their mom walks in. Furious at Veronica for putting dumb, scary thoughts into her sister's heads, she comes clean about using the Ouija board, and it makes her mom even angrier.
¿Pero por qué juegas esas cosas tan macabras?
Quería hablar con papá.
Her mom tells her she needs to snap out of it because she's dependent on her free labor and sacrifice to raise the other kids.
Necesito poder contar contigo, porque estoy sola.
Yo sí que estoy sola.
Preach! I get that this lady's husband died and now she has to care for 4 kids on her own, but she cannot be treating her 15-year-old like she's an adult. That's ludicrous. Next morning is Saturday and the kids are hungry. They demand food and Veronica looks tasty enough. They jump on her and eat her alive while she screams for her mother's help, who just really needs her to grow up. And for all you boys out there wondering, yes, this is exactly how girls get their first period. We must fight our mothers as well as the demonic forces that be before we come into our womanhood. A simple rite of passage. She decides to look under the mattress, and we see her arms and hands are covered in bruises as she investigates the black moldy spot under her bed. She checks on her siblings, and Antonito tells her Dad came to read him a story.
¿Cómo?
Ha venido papá a leérmelo.
¿Papá?
Esta noche viene otra vez.
Veronica tells him if Dad comes back to just close his eyes, plug his ears, and call for help. She finds a much larger stain in the shape of a person under his bed. Same for all her siblings. Scared, she drops the kids off at her mom's job and hunts down Sister Death. Turns out, she's not just a blind lady who sees demons and spirits. She blinded herself and attempts to stop seeing demons and spirits.
¿Tú fumas?
No.
Pues mejor.
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
Sister Death explains that God cannot help her. The entity must leave the same way it arrived.
Nunca se debe dar por finalizada una sesión sin despedirse. Aquello de lo que no te despides se queda contigo. Si no acaba con éxito, inténtelo nuevamente en otra ocasión.
She runs to Rosa's house, who's throwing a party demanding they do the seance again but say goodbye this time. She storms the house looking for Diana before she's escorted out. And honestly, I'd slap that guy too. How dare he put hands on her? What the hell? What the helly? We then learn Rosa is the worst kind of friend possible.
Verónica, no te acuerdas, ¿verdad?
¿De qué?
El otro día me dijiste algo al oído.
¿Qué te dije?
¡Dímelo, Rosa!
Me dijiste que ibas a morir hoy.
Like, what has to be wrong with someone to hear that their friend is going to die that Saturday and their response be, ignore them, be a bitch, throw a party, and just wait to see if their friend dies or not? She should have slapped Rosa, not that guy. That's not a friend, baby girl. That's your enemy. That's the kind of friend who prays for your downfall. As a last resort, she begs her mom for help and is met with more disappointment.
Mamá, cuando tú estás en casa no viene.
Otra vez con eso. A ver, a mí me encantaría cerrar y cenar con vosotros, pero no puede ser.
She takes her siblings home, potentially for the last time. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. Knowing she can't do the seance by herself, she gets her siblings involved. Antonito is instructed to draw the Vegisphere symbol on the wall. I think I'm saying that right? Vegiviscer? Whatever. But him being a small child gets bored and craves variety, so he looks for other symbols to also draw on the walls. At first, I thought this was the symbol of Asmodeus, the demon of lust, gambling, and revenge, which would be a crazy left turn for this movie. But this is actually a fake sigil created for the movie. It's just supposed to invoke evil. Just generic evil beings. What could go wrong? The seance begins and something confirms they're in the room, but it says it doesn't want to leave. They try to command it to leave and say goodbye. The book says repeating a mantra or singing a song can persuade it to leave, so they all sing the only song they know.
Centella.
Centella me da tiempo para disfrutar. ¿Qué es eso? Centella. Centella.
Disturbances are heard all around their apartment as they sing. The room begins to stink, and the sounds and banging get louder and scarier the more they sing. The board rips itself apart, and the glass cup/planchet rolls away. He's off to find a better life, like the Chef Boyardee can. She follows it to her bedroom door, and inside she grabs her flashlight, and the demon living in her bed is moving a little too fast. You're nice and all, but holding hands this early in their relationship, it's been like 2 days. Desperate, she calls the police, not knowing what to do. Antonito, with zero instincts and sense of danger, gets taken. I'm gonna interrupt here to say children are smart. They do have instincts. They do get scared when faced with danger. They pick up on your emotions when you're scared too. Can we stop writing them as if they lack all of these traits? Horror movies write dogs smarter than children. She breaks into the bathroom to save Antonito and hits her head. She gets up, grabs him, grabs the girls, and runs. The mother, for the first time the entire movie, has a motherly instinct, sees the police, and knows her kids are in danger. As they go outside, she's horrified to learn she's not actually holding Antonito. The mother goes to Lucia and Irene as Veronica desperately searches for Antonito. He's still in the bathroom. The demon hits her, and she takes a piece of broken mirror, preparing for a fight. He is hiding in her closet, doing exactly as she instructed him to, closing his eyes, plugging his ears, calling for Veronica. But he acts as if Veronica is the monster. That's when she realizes she's possessed. It was her all along. She slashes her throat in hopes of ending the cycle, finally beating the demon, and that's when the police find her. And for the first time, her mother views her as a child. The detective picks up a portrait of Veronica only to be burned by it. It goes up in flames and the lights come back on. He gets radioed. She's dead. Veronica didn't make it. On June 15th, 1991, Detective Jose Raymond Romero went to the home located at 8 Gerardo Núñez Street in Madrid, responding to a call to the emergency service. In their statement, the girl's relatives explained that after having attended a Ouija game session, the young woman had begun to manifest a series of strange symptoms and that paranormal phenomena were taking place in the home. 2 of the agents who inspected the property had to leave it suddenly after suffering severe nausea, dizziness, tremors, tremors, and loss of vision, and were absent from duty for 2 weeks. The month after the events, Inspector Romero requested his transfer to another district. In his report, Inspector Romero testifies to the existence of phenomena that he literally describes as totally inexplicable. This is the only police report in Spain in which an officer certifies having witnessed paranormal activity. Pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. Now, how much of that was real? That's hard to prove. You see, there was only one book I could find on the subject, and it's hardly a page turner. Not exactly on the bestsellers list, with exactly one review on Amazon that I happen to agree with. Well, I read this book in an afternoon, as it wasn't of the depth I thought it would be. While I will not knock the writer for their definite effort, I found the book to be far too biased in comparison to the movie Veronica. A writer should remember that most movies, no matter how true they are to the story, will always overcompensate for the sake of their viewing audience. I think perhaps it would appeal to a younger generation, but for people who are die-hard readers of this topic, it doesn't hold any punches, barely even some cold hard facts. It's not like Bermuda press to take on a shallow read like this, but perhaps in their defense they are trying to diversify to keep their outlook fresh. Sadly, the book wasn't much different than all the clickbait articles about Estefania and Veronica. So I read every source I could find, every clickbait article, the one book I could find. I found one news report, as well as a piece of what I believe is the police report. I took details from all of them, and I omitted the ones that were inconsistent, and I compiled what I believe to be is the story of Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro. The story of Veronica is said to be about Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro. Born in 1973 in the Vallecas district of Madrid, Spain, as a teen, she started taking interest in the occult. One day in the bathroom at school, she and two of her friends decided to use a Ouija board to contact her friend's boyfriend who had died in a motorcycle accident. They used a small glass as the planchet and it flew around the board before shattering. They didn't make contact with the dead boyfriend, but they did see smoke emerge from the board that Estefania inhaled. A nun came in and interrogated them about this occult activity. The nun took the board and destroyed it. Some say Estefania's sister was in the room during the seance, but was just guarding the door. After this, Estefania's behavior became more aggressive and she started having fits of rage with uncontrollable barking, growling, and hissing at her siblings. She told her parents she started seeing shadow people with no face wearing cloaks, and they wanted her to go with them. Soon she began suffering from insomnia and having more hallucinations and seizures. Her parents took her to multiple doctors, but no one could figure out what was happening to her. She started attacking her siblings and putting their lives in danger. One time, she was foaming at the mouth like a rabid dog as she attacked her sister. Some say when she attacked her brother, she was screaming and scratching at the walls with her nails. After what was either a violent attack from unseen forces or a seizure, she fell into a coma and was admitted to a hospital where she mysteriously died. Her cause of death was classified as sudden and suspicious, but some report that the autopsy claims heart attack. Pretty young for a heart attack, but not impossible. However, the story does not end there. Her family started experiencing paranormal activity in their home. First, they noticed someone or something had been trashing Estefania's old room. Her things scattered everywhere, furniture moved. They would clean it up and move everything back only for it to be destroyed again the next day. The family also experienced objects moving, doors opening and closing, loud banging, appliances turning on and off, disembodied laughter, and the sound of glass breaking throughout the entire apartment. Even guests who came over experienced these weird happenings. On occasion, the mother could hear Estefania screaming. Some time after her passing, a picture of Estefania burst into flames, but the frame and glass were untouched. It was just the photo inside that burned. The hauntings got worse, and the family started seeing dark figures crawling around their beds and rooms at night. One sibling even saw a dark figure glued to the floor, dragging itself toward them. One night, the mother felt pressure on top of her and said to her husband, "Someone is here." And right after that, something grabbed her feet and hands. They called the police because they didn't didn't know what else to do. When the police arrived, they found the whole family huddled together in the rain. Upon entry, the police heard banging, but knew no one was in there. Cupboards flew open and almost hit an officer in the face. When they went into Estefania's old room, they found a crucifix that had been bolted to the wall and was ripped off and broken. On the wall where it had been was 3 claw marks. They experienced an extreme drop in temperature in the bathroom. The family even hired a paranormal investigator who claims the malicious spirit haunting them was their deceased grandfather, who apparently hated them all and even whispered into Estefania's ear before he died, "If I cannot harm you in this life, I will do it in the next." And a medium in the house also claims to have been possessed by said spirit and said that Estefania is also there trying to protect the family from him. The family decided to just move away, and all paranormal activity stopped. So whether or not the movie Veronica is based on a true story, I think is up to personal interpretation. You can take it as a legend, you can take it as a true story, the same way you can with Haunting in Connecticut, The Conjuring, all of the paranormal movies and stories, because they're just really hard to prove what's real and what's not. And it was obnoxious that every source I could find, people just could not agree on certain basic details. Details as simple as the day she died, the day she was born, or even how many siblings she had. But director Paco Plaza did state that it's only loosely inspired by Estefania's story with creative modifications. So why are we so afraid of Ouija boards and spirit boards? Where did it all start? Well, it's a little tricky to know when it was invented exactly and by who, but what I can tell you is that it was first patented in 1891 by the Kinnard Novelty Company. There was a big boom in spiritualism in the late 1800s that lasted all the way through the 1930s. During the Victorian and Edwardian era, ghosts weren't considered scary and evil. They were companions and welcome in our homes. They were our ancestors, deceased family members, and friends just keeping us company until it's our time to go. And Charles Kinnard wanted to capitalize on this belief. The very first ad of a Ouija board being sold was in 1891, and it was advertised as a fun party game with friends and family. It's believed they advertised it as a board game instead of a spiritual practice because you pay lower patent fees and taxes on a game versus a tool. You also have to prove the product works before you're granted a patent. It's much easier to prove a Ouija board is a fun little game instead of proving that it works for divination or talking to spirits. In 1892, the company actually rebranded to the Ouija Novelty Company, and it was Ouija Mania. Everyone had to get their hands on one, and eventually you could find one in every home. The company made a huge profit. Then after the 1930s, spiritualism died down and everyone threw out their Ouija boards, up until 1966 when the Parker brothers bought the patent for the Ouija board. The Parker brothers were actually founded in Salem, Massachusetts, and the company utilized this to raise sales by claiming their boards were manufactured there. This was a great call for them because spiritualism spiked again during the birth of the New Age movement in the 1970s. Well, thanks to books and movies like The Exorcist, where a little girl gets possessed by a demon from using a Ouija board, the film just completely rebranded and changed the image of the board forever. Fundamentalist Christians focused heavily on banning and denouncing Ouija boards. So what does a company do when their intended audience isn't buying their product? They find a new demographic. They rebrand. So in the 1980s, with the Satanic Panic and the rise of training children to be future consumers, they started marketing to rebellious teenagers. It was a scary, spooky thing to do at sleepovers and parties now.
So together, we should be able to make a clear, strong contact.
I bet he wants a clear, strong contact.
Then, in 1991, Hasbro bought the patent for the Ouija board, and they got rid of the spiritual, contacting ghost aspect, and just played the divination aspect of the board, kind of like the Magic 8 Ball.
Your movie.
With the exception of Roland Doe in 1949, who The Exorcist is rumored to be based off of, people didn't report having bad experiences with Ouija boards until after the release of the movie The Exorcist. And now all we hear are horror stories related to it. Did we change? Or are we just that persuaded by advertising and movies? Over the years, there have always been rules when using a Ouija board, but depending on who you're talking to, the rules might be different. So here is a list of every rule I have found about using a Ouija board. Do not use one in your home. Do not use one in a cemetery. Do not use the board alone. Don't be disrespectful and ask inappropriate questions or make jokes.
Hey, I don't don't talk to cardboard.
You must store the planchette separate from the board when not using it. You must say goodbye when finishing a session. If the planchette starts to make a figure 8, going backwards through the alphabet or counting down the numbers, that means an evil spirit is trying to break free. And last, do not use spirit board as decor or its design as a jewelry or clothing. So do you believe you can be possessed after using a Ouija board? I'm personally skeptical, and I definitely use their design as decor, so maybe I should avoid using one for fear of it feeling disrespected. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, all of that love and support, and also please feel free to recommend movies or games you would like for me to cover in the future. Also, let me know about your own Ouija board experiences. I find it to be very fascinating. And as always, never forget, keep it creepy. I don't think this shirt is the best on-camera top for me. Whatever. Okay, we're done.